The grand ballroom of the Apex Tech Summit glittered like a cathedral of innovation. Crystal chandeliers hung from vaulted ceilings, casting fractured light across a sea of tailored suits and designer dresses. The air hummed with anticipation and expensive cologne. Marcus Thornhill stood center stage, silver hair gleaming under spotlights. His cobalt blue suit probably cost more than most people's cars. He smiled with the confidence of a man who owned algorithms the way others owned yachts. "Ladies and gentlemen," his voice boomed through the sound system, "I present the Prometheus Code." Behind him, a massive screen displayed a cascading wall of encryption. Numbers and symbols danced in patterns that seemed almost alive. The audience leaned forward collectively. 6 months. The world's greatest cryptographers, MIT, Stanford, Oxford. Thornhill paused for effect. None could crack it. "So today I make this public. Solve this algorithm and $500 million is yours." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phones emerged like a field of glowing rectangles. This was history. A small hand rose from the back of the room. Thin, brown. Attached to a girl in a mustard-yellow hoodie that had seen better days. The hand stayed up. Thornhill squinted past the lights. "Yes, sweetheart? Are you lost?" "No, sir." Her voice cut through the murmurs, steady and clear. "I'd like to try." The room fell silent. Someone laughed nervously. Then another. The sound built like a wave. Thornhill's smile never wavered. "Well, this is certainly unexpected." Her name was Zara Mitchell, and she was 12 years old. She lived in a 4th-floor walk-up in the South Bronx, where the radiator clanged like a warning, and the walls were thin enough to hear neighbors' arguments. The apartment smelled like her grandmother's jerk chicken and the faint electrical burn of an overworked laptop. That laptop was Zara's universe. She'd bought it refurbished from a pawn shop 3 years ago, with money saved from tutoring younger kids. The screen had a crack across the top corner. The E key stuck. She'd reinforced the hinge with duct tape that had turned grey with age, but it worked, and that was all that mattered. At school they called her Robot Girl, not with affection. She'd learned to eat lunch in the computer lab, headphones in, eyes on code. The bullies left her alone there mostly. They didn't understand why anyone would choose Python over popularity. Her grandmother called her something else, Little Lioness. "Your mother had that same fire," she'd say, braiding Zara's hair before bed. Never dimmed it for nobody. Zara's mother had been gone 2 years now. Car accident on the FDR drive. Some drunk driver who walked away without a scratch. She'd been driving home from an interview at a tech startup in Manhattan. Her dream job. She never got to take it. Her father was upstate Sing Sing, another 3 years on his sentence. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong skin color, according to the jury. He called when he could. "Keep your head in those books, baby girl," he'd say. "Be smarter than this world thinks you can be." Today, Zara had skipped school. She'd forged a press pass using Photoshop and her school ID, printed it at the library. The security guard at the Apex Summit had barely glanced at it before waving her through. She'd sat in the back, hoodie up, watching, waiting. When Thornhill announced the challenge, something electric shot through her chest. She knew that pattern. She'd seen it before, variations of it. In encryption forums she haunted at 2 a.m. when sleep wouldn't come. It was elegant, beautiful even, and she knew exactly how to break it, so she raised her hand, and kept it raised until the entire room had no choice but to notice her. "Come on up, then." Thornhill's voice dripped with amusement. He gestured grandly toward the stage. Zara walked down the center aisle. Her sneakers squeaked against polished marble. Every eye in the room tracked her movement. She heard the whispers even through the blood rushing in her ears. "Is this a publicity stunt? Where are her parents? This is embarrassing." She climbed the stage steps. The lights were hotter up close, pressing against her skin like judgment. Thornhill towered over her. 6 feet of expensive confidence. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Zara Mitchell." She didn't add "sir" this time. "Well, Zara, this is quite brave of you." He turned to the audience with an indulgent smile. "Shall we let her try?" Applause rippled through the crowd. Patronizing. The kind you give a child in a school play who forgot their lines. A terminal was wheeled onto the stage. Dr. Helena Vance, Thornhill's lead engineer, set it up with sharp, precise movements. She was a severe woman in a charcoal suit, her hair pulled back so tight it looked painful. "The timer starts when you begin," Vance said flatly. She didn't look at Zara. Zara sat. The chair was too low. She adjusted it, fingers steady despite the tremor in her chest. The keyboard was mechanical, expensive. Each key would respond with satisfying precision. The Prometheus code filled the screen. Recursive encryption, layered 17 levels deep. Beautiful chaos. She cracked her knuckles, breathed, and began. Her fingers flew across the keys. The audience noise faded to white static. There was only the code, the pattern, the story her mother taught her to see. Algorithms are just stories, baby. Find the pattern, tell the story. First layer, prime number sequencing with Fibonacci intervals. Simple misdirection. She bypassed it in 40 seconds. Second through fifth layers. Nested polyalphabetic substitution. Time-consuming but predictable. She wrote a recursive function that unraveled them simultaneously. 1 minute gone, 6th through 12th layers, the beautiful part. Dynamic key generation based on temporal algorithms. Most people would get trapped here, trying to predict the pattern forward. But Zara saw it differently. She worked backward, finding the seed instead of chasing the branches. "She's just pressing random keys," someone muttered. 2 minutes. The final layers collapsed like dominoes. The code revealed itself, elegant in its simplicity once you knew where to look. Zara typed the final command sequence. Enter. The screen flashed green. A single word appeared. Solution accepted. 3 minutes. 14 seconds. Silence crashed over the ballroom like a tsunami. Then chaos erupted. Voices overlapped, sharp and disbelieving. Phones surged upward, capturing the moment. Thornhill's face had gone rigid, his smile frozen like a mask. Dr. Vance lunged forward, fingers stabbing at the terminal. Her face drained of color. This isn't possible. She cheated. A voice from the crowd, male and certain. She had to have the answer already. There's no way a child... Someone planted this. Zara's hands began to shake. The room tilted slightly. She gripped the edge of the desk. Thornhill's hand landed on her shoulder. Heavy. His voice dropped to a whisper only she could hear. Cute trick, but we'll be checking very, very carefully. 2 security guards materialized at the stage edges. Escort our young friend backstage, Thornhill said smoothly. His public smile returned. While we verify the solution's authenticity. Zara stood on trembling legs. The applause never came. Only stares, suspicious and sharp as broken glass. As the guards led her away, she caught Thornhill's reflection in a dark window. He wasn't smiling anymore. The backstage hallway was concrete and fluorescent lights. Cold air breathed from unseen vents. Zara sat on a folding chair outside a locked door. Security guards stationed 6 feet away like she was a threat. Her heart hammered against her ribs. 3 minutes and 14 seconds. She'd done it. She'd actually done it. So why did it feel like she'd committed a crime? The guard's radio crackled. Voices leaked through, distorted. Impossible timeline. No way to verify. Need to review security footage. Zara's grandmother would be worried by now. She told her she had a half day at school, would be home by 3. It was almost 4. Her phone sat heavy in her hoodie pocket, but she was afraid to check it. She replayed the moment in her head. The green flash. The word accepted. The way Dr. Vance's face had changed, not to respect but to fear. That's what it had been in her eyes, fear. Why would they be afraid? Zara's mother's voice echoed in memory, soft and certain. They'll doubt you because of what you look like, baby, not because of what you can do. The world's not always fair, but that's why you have to be undeniable. Undeniable. Zara had thought solving the code would be enough. She'd seen the problem, understood its architecture, found the solution. Math didn't lie. Code didn't have bias, but people did. The door to the conference room opened. Thornhill emerged, flanked by Dr. Vance and two men in expensive suits. Lawyers, probably. They walked past her without acknowledging her existence. Voices low and urgent. PR nightmare if we verify the solution didn't compromise. Need to control the narrative. The door closed behind them. The hallway fell silent again, except for the hum of ventilation and the guard's steady breathing. Zara stared at her sneakers. The left one had a hole forming near the toe. She'd reinforced it with superglue last week. $500 million. That number felt fictional, too large to be real. She'd looked it up once, tried to imagine it. It could pay for her grandmother's knee surgery, cover her father's appeal, get her into MIT without drowning in debt, fund a scholarship program for kids like her. Kids with cracked laptops and big dreams. But first she had to prove something that should have been obvious. She'd solved the problem. Right there, in front of hundreds of witnesses. Why wasn't that enough? Her phone buzzed. Her grandmother. Where are you, baby? Zara's fingers hovered over the keyboard. How did you explain that you'd just won $500 million, except nobody believed you? She typed, on my way home. Love you? The guard's radio crackled again. Bring her to conference room B, the guard gestured. Zara stood, legs unsteady. Through the concrete walls she could hear the distant roar of the summit continuing. Life moving forward. The world spinning on, and she was standing still, suspended in the space between triumph and disaster, waiting for someone else to decide which it would be. Conference room B was all glass and chrome. Thornhill sat at the head of a long table. Dr. Vance flanked his right, laptop open, fingers moving across the trackpad with predatory focus. Sit, Thornhill said. Not an invitation. Zara sat. The leather chair hissed under her weight. I'm going to ask you some questions. Thornhill folded his hands. Answer honestly. It'll be easier for everyone. Zara nodded, throat dry. Where did you learn to code? My mother taught me. The words came automatically. When I was 6, Dr. Vance looked up sharply. Your mother's a programmer. She was, past tense. The word burned. She died 2 years ago. Something flickered across Vance's face. Almost sympathy, almost, I see. Thornhill's voice softened by calculated degrees. And she taught you encryption algorithms? At 6 years old? She taught me to see patterns. Zara's hands gripped the armrests. She said algorithms are stories. You just have to learn the language. Flashback, 4 years ago. Zara's mother, Kamara, sat cross-legged on their worn couch. Her emerald green blouse caught the afternoon light streaming through their small window. She had Zara's laptop balanced on her knees, her daughter tucked against her side. Okay, baby girl. See these numbers? 7-year-old Zara squinted at the screen. They're just random. Nothing's random. Not really. Kamara's finger traced the sequence. Look closer. See how every third number is divisible by 5? That's not accident. That's pattern. That's story. What's the story? That's what you figure out. Kamara kissed the top of her head. Algorithms are just puzzles wearing fancy names. You're good at puzzles. They'd spent hours like that. Kamara would present problems. Simple encryption at first, then more complex. She'd make it a game. Zara would race against a timer, Kamara cheering every breakthrough. You're going to do things I never got to do, Kamara would say. You're going to walk into rooms where people look like you never get invited. And you're going to change that. Zara remembered the manila envelope that arrived 3 months before the accident. MIT application materials. Her mother had highlighted sections, made notes in the margins. For when you're ready, she'd written. The car accident happened on a Tuesday. Kamara had been coming home from an interview with a startup in Soho. They were building AI for healthcare diagnostics. She'd been so excited. I'll finally use my degree for something that matters, she'd told Zara that morning. Help people. Show you that education is worth fighting for. The drunk driver ran a red light at 60 miles per hour. Kamara never had time to break. Miss Mitchell, Thornhill's voice pulled her back. I asked you a question. Zara blinked. Sorry, what? Have you ever accessed encrypted databases without authorization? His eyes were cold now. The warmth had been theater. No. Have you ever participated in hacking forums? I participate in coding forums. That's different, is it? Dr. Vance leaned forward. You expect us to believe a 12-year-old girl cracked an algorithm that stumped PhD cryptographers? In 3 minutes? Zara met her gaze. I don't expect anything. I did it. You saw me. What we saw, Vance said slowly, was someone with prior knowledge execute a solution suspiciously fast. The words landed like a slap. I didn't cheat. Then prove it. Thornhill's smile was sharp. Walk us through your solution. Every step. Right now. Zara's mind raced. This was a trap. If she explained it too well, they'd say she memorized it. If she stumbled, they'd say she didn't really solve it. But her mother's voice echoed, Tell the story. The first layer was prime sequencing, Zara began. Her voice grew steadier. Fibonacci intervals. Misdirection to waste time. I wrote a recursive bypass using modular arithmetic. She walked them through every step. The recursive functions, the backward seed finding, the temporal algorithm exploitation. Dr. Vance's expression shifted from skepticism to something harder to read. When Zara finished, silence filled the room. Interesting, Thornhill said finally. Very interesting, that's when Zara knew. They believed her, and that terrified them more than if she'd actually cheated. Wait here, Thornhill stood abruptly. We need to consult with our legal team. They left her alone in the conference room. Through the glass wall, Zara watched them gather in the adjacent space. Thornhill's voice rose and fell, gestures sharp. Dr. Vance pulled up something on her laptop, face illuminated by cold blue light. Zara's hands were shaking again. She pressed them flat against the table. Through the door, imperfectly sealed, fragments of conversation drifted. Can't let this stand. Thornhill's voice. Harder now? The solution is valid. Dr. Vance sounded strained. More than valid. She found a vulnerability we didn't know existed. Zara's breath caught. Then we have a bigger problem. A male voice, one of the lawyers. If word gets out that a child exposed a flaw in your supposedly unbreakable system, our entire credibility collapses. Thornhill, ice cold. Government contracts. Military applications, everything, silence. What are you suggesting? Vance asked quietly. We discredit her, the lawyer again. She's 12. No credentials, no documentation. We say the solution was planted, that this was a prank or publicity stunt. What about the recordings? Vance, we control the narrative. Frame her as a pawn. Maybe someone used her. Maybe she's gifted but manipulated. Either way, she's not credible. Zara's heart hammered so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. She fumbled for her phone, hands clumsy with adrenaline. She opened the voice recorder app. What about the money? Vance's voice carried doubt. We made a public promise. We'll offer a settlement. Consultant fee, $50,000. A scholarship. Make us look generous. Thornhill paused. She'll take it. Look at her. She needs it. And if she doesn't, then we bury her. Thornhill's voice dropped. Character questions. Age verification issues. Education fraud. Make it ugly enough that she gives up. Through the glass, Thornhill turned. His eyes locked with Zara's. She hadn't been subtle enough. The phone was visible in her hand, pointed toward them. His face transformed, rage flashing before control reasserted itself. The recording had 37 seconds on it. Proof. Actual proof. The door opened. Thornhill entered, smile back in place, but his eyes were dead. Zara, he said gently, let's talk about your future. Thornhill sat across from Zara, hands steepled like a prayer. The smile never reached his eyes. You're clearly gifted, he began. Remarkable even, but this situation is. Complicated. Zara said nothing. Her phone sat in her hoodie pocket, recording still running. The Prometheus Code is proprietary technology. Military contracts depend on its integrity. He leaned forward. Your solution, while impressive, raises questions about security vulnerabilities we can't afford to have publicized. I solved it fair. Zara's voice came out smaller than she intended. You promised 500 million. I know what I promised. His tone shifted, fatherly now. But consider the reality. You're 12. No legal guardian present. No documentation of your education. This becomes a legal nightmare for everyone, Dr. Vance interjected, voice measured. What Mr. Thornhill is offering is generous. $50,000. Full scholarship to any computer science program you want. A recommendation letter from Thornhill Industries. 50,000, not 500 million. That's not what you promised, Zara said. It's what we can realistically offer given the circumstances. Thornhill's mask slipped slightly. Take it, Zara. It's more money than you've ever seen. It changes your life. Your grandmother's life. Outside the glass, reporters had gathered. Cameras, voices. The story was already spreading. I solved it, Zara repeated. I earned it. Thornhill's jaw tightened. You're a child who got lucky. Don't mistake one moment for wisdom. He stood. This offer expires in 24 hours. After that we explore other options. Legal options. Zara's hands balled into fists under the table. I'd think very carefully, Thornhill said, moving toward the door. About what happens when you fight people with resources you can't imagine. About what your grandmother would want. About whether pride is worth destroying your future over. The door opened. Reporters surged forward. Microphones thrust toward Thornhill. Mr. Thornhill, did the girl really solve the code? Is the prize being awarded? Thornhill's public face returned, warm and confident. We're verifying the solution's validity. We want to be thorough and fair. Young Zara has shown remarkable talent, and we're exploring ways to support her education and development. Support, not reward. The word choice was surgical. In the meantime, Thornhill continued, we're offering her a generous consultant package and scholarship opportunities. We want what's best for this young mind. He looked like a saint. The cameras loved him. Zara stood in the background, small and silent, watching her victory get rewritten in real time. A reporter noticed her. Zara, how do you feel? Every camera swiveled. Microphones pressed forward. She opened her mouth. Thornhill's hand landed on her shoulder, firm. Let's give her space. She's had an overwhelming day. Security materialized, creating a corridor. They ushered her toward a side exit. Zara caught one last glimpse of Thornhill through the crowd. He was smiling for the cameras, but his eyes promised consequences. Zara made it home by 8 p.m. Her grandmother met her at the door, face creased with worry. Where have you been? I called the school. They said you weren't there. Grandma, Zara's voice cracked. I need to show you something. They sat at the kitchen table, Zara's cracked laptop between them. She pulled up the news. Her face was everywhere. Child prodigy or publicity stunt. Tech billionaire's challenge ends in controversy. 2-year-old. Claims to crack unbreakable code. Her grandmother read in silence, hand over her mouth. Baby, what did you do? I solved it, Grandma, I really did. Zara's eyes burned. But they won't give me the prize. They think I cheated. She explained everything. The summit, the 3 minutes, the $50,000 offer, Thornhill's threats. Her grandmother pulled her close. Oh, little lioness, what have you gotten yourself into? That night, Zara couldn't sleep. She checked her phone obsessively. The story was spreading, fragmenting into 1,000 different narratives. Some called her brilliant. Others called her a fraud. At 2 a.m. her phone buzzed. Unknown number. This is your final warning. Drop this, tell them you made a mistake. Take the money and disappear. Her hands shook so hard, she almost dropped the phone. At 3 a.m. her phone lit up again. This time it was her recording, the one she'd made of Thornhill's conversation. She opened the file. It was corrupted, completely. Nothing but static. Zara's stomach dropped. She checked her cloud backup, also corrupted. Every copy wiped. They'd gotten into her phone remotely. Erased the evidence. She sat in the dark, laptop glow illuminating her face. Her mother's picture smiled from the desk. Emerald green blouse, eyes full of hope. I don't know what to do, Zara whispered to the photo. The silence offered no answers. At 7 a.m. her grandmother woke her. Baby, you need to see this. The morning news played on their small TV. A polished reporter stood outside the summit venue, breaking developments in yesterday's Prometheus Code controversy. Sources close to Thornhill Industries suggest the young girl may have had unauthorized access to the algorithm prior to the demonstration. The company is cooperating with an investigation into potential security breaches and is reviewing surveillance footage. Zara's chest tightened. They were framing her, making her the criminal. Her phone rang. The school principal. Zara, we need you to come in immediately. There's been a serious allegation regarding unauthorized access to school computer systems. What? We're confiscating your laptop pending investigation. This is extremely serious. The call ended. Zara looked at her grandmother, eyes wide with fear. They're destroying me, she whispered. 3 days passed like drowning. Zara was suspended from school pending investigation. Her laptop was taken. The principal had looked at her with such disappointment, like she'd personally betrayed him. Online, the narrative had solidified. Troubled kid from broken home, desperate for attention, probably coached by someone with an agenda. The comments section was a war zone. She's a plant. This whole thing was staged. Where are her parents? Someone's manipulating this poor child. Thornhill's being too nice. Should sue her family for defamation. Her grandmother's phone number somehow leaked. Calls came at all hours. Some supportive, most vicious. Your granddaughter is a liar and a thief. How much are you getting paid to do this? Drop it before someone gets hurt. That last one came at 2 a.m. Her grandmother stopped answering the phone entirely. Zara sat on the fire escape, watching the Bronx stretch out beneath her. Lights from 1,000 windows, each one a life that kept moving forward while hers had frozen. She held her mother's keychain, a tiny metal lion size of her thumb. Her mother had bought it at a street fair the summer before she died. For my little lioness, she'd said, so you remember you're brave, even when you don't feel like it. Zara didn't feel brave. She felt small and stupid, and utterly alone. The news had moved on. Thornhill Industries released a statement. While we appreciate the young woman's enthusiasm, our investigation has concluded the solution presented was not independently derived. We've offered her educational support in lieu of the challenge prize, which she has declined. We consider this matter closed. Closed. Her life imploded, and they considered it closed. Former allies went silent. Her coding forum accounts were suspended for suspicious activity. Teachers who'd once praised her avoided eye contact. Even kids at school who'd ignored her now actively whispered. My mum said she's a scammer. Did you hear? Her dad's in prison. Figures. Criminals raise criminals. Zara stopped going outside except when necessary. Her grandmother watched her with worried eyes but didn't know how to fix this. No one did. On the 7th day, Zara sat at the kitchen table, staring at nothing. She'd stopped checking the news, stopped looking at her phone. What was the point? Her grandmother set down a cup of tea. Baby, you can't give up. Why not? Zara's voice was hollow. Nobody believes me. They took everything. I have nothing left to fight with. You have you. Her grandmother's hand covered hers. You have your mind, your mother's fire. That's not nothing. It wasn't enough. Not yet. Her grandmother squeezed. But storms pass, little lioness, and the sun always comes back. Zara wanted to believe that, but the darkness felt permanent now. Outside, the city hummed on, indifferent to one girl's broken dreams. The knock came on a Thursday afternoon. Zara's grandmother answered the door. "Mrs. Mitchell, I'm Daniel Okafor, Zara's computer science teacher." Mr. Okafor stood in their small living room, tall and lean, his worn leather messenger bag slung over his shoulder. He'd emigrated from Nigeria 12 years ago, taught at 3 different schools, believed in his students with a fierceness that sometimes surprised them. "May I speak with Zara?" She emerged from her room hollow-eyed and guarded. "I saw what happened," Mr. Okafor said without preamble. "I know you solved that code." Zara's throat tightened. "You're the only one." "Not quite true. But the others are too afraid to say so publicly." He sat on their worn couch. "May I show you something?" He pulled out a tablet, opened a document. The Prometheus Challenge was broadcast live. The terms and conditions were public and binding. Thornhill Industries cannot simply void the agreement because they dislike the outcome. They already did. They tried. But there's a legal pathway. His finger traced the document. The contract stipulated any valid solution would be awarded the prize. They verified your solution was valid. Dr. Vance confirmed it in the immediate aftermath on camera. That's legally binding acknowledgement. Hope flickered in Zara's chest, fragile as candlelight. But they're saying I cheated. Allegations aren't proof. They haven't produced evidence of cheating because none exists. Mr. Okafor leaned forward. But here's what they're counting on. That you won't fight back. That you're too young, too poor, too afraid to challenge them. I am afraid. Good. Fear means you understand the stakes. His eyes were kind but fierce. Your mother was my colleague. Did you know that? Before she had you, we taught together at a community center in Harlem. She was brilliant, fearless. She'd be proud of you. Tears burned Zara's eyes. There's a way forward, Mr. Okafor continued. It's not easy. You'd have to prove you can solve it again. Live in front of independent witnesses. No room for doubt. They wiped my recording. They took my laptop. How do I know people. Professors at Columbia who'd verify the demonstration. Legal aid organizations that handle cases like this pro bono. He pulled out a card. This is Sarah Chen. She's a lawyer who specializes in David versus Goliath cases. She wants to talk to you. Zara stared at the card. Sarah Chen, Esquire Civil Rights and Contract Law. Why would she help me? Because what Thornhill did is illegal. Because stories like yours matter. Because sometimes the system works if you fight hard enough. Mr. Okafor's voice softened. Your mother taught you to see patterns. This is a pattern too. Powerful people betting that ordinary people won't fight back. Prove them wrong. Zara's grandmother spoke from the doorway. What if they come after her harder? They will, Mr. Okafor said honestly. But they're already coming after her. Right now, Zara's losing by default. This way, she has a chance. Zara held the tiny lion keychain, feeling its weight. What do I have to do? She asked quietly. Mr. Okafor smiled. Tell your story. Prove your brilliance. Trust that truth is stronger than money. Zara didn't know if she believed that last part, but she knew her mother would want her to try. Okay, she whispered. Let's do it. 3 weeks later, Columbia University's computer science building overflowed with people. Reporters lined the walls. Camera crews positioned themselves at strategic angles. Students packed the doorways. The live stream had already crashed twice from traffic overload. At the center, a simple desk. A computer. A girl in a mustard yellow hoodie. Zara's hands wouldn't stop shaking. Marcus Thornhill sat in the front row, flanked by lawyers. He'd been legally compelled to attend after Sarah Chen filed an emergency motion. His face was stone. Dr. Helena Vance stood off to the side, arms crossed. She wouldn't meet Zara's eyes. Professor James Wu from Columbia's cryptography department approached the microphone. The rules are simple. Ms. Mitchell will attempt to solve the Prometheus code again under controlled conditions. Independent verification at every step. If she succeeds using the same methodology, her original solution stands validated. Zara's grandmother squeezed her hand. "You got this, little lioness." Mr. Okafor gave her an encouraging nod from the second row. The problem appeared on the screen. 17 layers of encrypted chaos, beautiful and terrifying. Timer starts now. Zara's fingers touched the keyboard. The room held its breath. "I'll explain as I go," she said, voice amplified through speakers. First layer, prime number sequencing using Fibonacci intervals. It's misdirection. Most people waste time here. You don't solve it, you bypass it. Her fingers moved. Code appeared on the screen, projected large enough for everyone to see. I'm writing a recursive function using modular arithmetic. See this? It identifies the pattern without processing every number. Computational efficiency over brute force. 1 minute gone, layers 2 through 5. Nested polyalphabetic substitution. Looks complex, but it's just layered Caesar ciphers with variable shifts. I wrote a function that tests all possible shift combinations simultaneously. Dr. Vance leaned forward, eyes fixed on the screen. 2 minutes. Now the interesting part. Layers 6 through 12 use temporal algorithms, key generation based on time-dependent variables. Most people try to predict forward. That's the trap. Zara's voice grew steadier. This was where she belonged. In the code, in the pattern, in the story. You work backward instead. Find the seed, trace the branches, reverse engineer the generation sequence. It's like... She paused, remembering her mother's words. It's like reading a book backward to find out who wrote it. The solution was revealing itself, cascading across the screen. Reporters typed frantically. Cameras zoomed in. Final layers. The vulnerability is here. Zara highlighted a section of code. See this? The algorithm assumes forward temporal progression. But if you introduce a negative temporal offset, mathematically valid but conceptually counterintuitive, the entire structure collapses. Predictably, 3 minutes. Her fingers flew across the final commands. The room was absolutely silent except for the clicking of keys. Enter. The screen flashed green. Solution accepted. 3 minutes. 9 seconds, the room exploded. Not with doubt this time. With shock. With disbelief that had nowhere left to hide. Professor Wu checked the logs, consulted with 2 other cryptographers. They conferred in whispers, checked again. He returned to the microphone. The solution is valid. Methodology is sound. Execution is extraordinary. Applause erupted, genuine this time. Students cheered. Reporters shouted questions. Thornhill's face had gone grey. Dr. Vance stood abruptly. Her voice cut through the noise. She's right. Every camera turned to her. The solution is valid. More than valid, she found a fundamental vulnerability in our architecture that we missed. A 12-year-old found it. Vance's voice shook. In 3 minutes, she turned to Thornhill. This is real. It was always real. Sarah Chen stood holding a document. Mr. Thornhill, the original contract terms were public and binding. The prize was offered to anyone who could solve the code. Ms. Mitchell has now demonstrated her solution twice, under scrutiny, with independent verification. I trust we can resolve this without further legal action? Cameras focused on Thornhill. He was trapped, spotlighted, exposed. A reporter shouted, "Will you honor the $500 million prize?" The silence stretched. Thornhill's jaw worked. His lawyers whispered urgently. Finally he stood. His voice was tight. Yes. The word fell like a stone. Yes, the prize will be awarded per the original terms. Chaos erupted again. Questions fired from every direction. But Zara heard none of it. She looked at her grandmother, who was crying. At Mr. Okafor, who was grinning. At the tiny lion keychain hanging from her hoodie zipper. She'd done it. Actually done it. Not just solved the code, but proved she existed, proved she mattered, proved that brilliance doesn't ask permission. The apartment in the Bronx was the same thin walls, same clanging radiator, but it felt different now. Zara's grandmother had quit both her jobs. Her knees no longer ached from double shifts. She spent her evenings cooking elaborate meals, humming old hymns, smiling more than Zara had seen in years. Zara had a new laptop. Top of the line, the keys responded instantly, perfectly. No duct tape required, it felt almost too clean. Her bedroom now held a wall of books. Computer science, mathematics, philosophy, and fiction too. Her mother had loved science fiction. Zara was working through her mother's favorites. MIT had sent an early acceptance letter. Full ride, though she didn't need it anymore. "We'd be honored to have you," the dean wrote. "Though honestly, you'd probably be teaching us." Her father's appeal was funded. Good lawyers, the kind who didn't give up. He called every week now, voice thick with pride. "You did what I couldn't, baby girl. You got free." The money sat in trusts and accounts managed by people Zara Chen had vetted personally. Most would go to scholarships, the Zara Mitchell Fund for young coders, for kids with cracked laptops and massive dreams. But some guilt lingered. She'd won, but the world hadn't changed. Other girls would still walk into rooms where nobody expected them. Other kids would still be doubted. Zara visited her mother's grave on a Saturday. She placed fresh flowers, sat in the grass. "I did it, Mom," she whispered. "Not just the code, all of it." The wind rustled through the trees. Somewhere a bird sang. She held the lion keychain warm from her pocket. "Mr. Okafor said you'd be proud." "I hope that's true." Her phone buzzed. An email from Dr. Vance. "Zara, I owe you an apology, not just for doubting you, but for being complicit in trying to silence you. I've left Thornhill Industries. I'm teaching now at a public university. Trying to do better. Thank you for showing me what courage looks like." Zara read it twice, then closed her eyes. The sun was warm on her face. The grass soft beneath her. The city hummed its eternal song. She'd fought. She'd won. And she was still here, still herself. Still the girl who saw patterns in chaos. Still her mother's daughter. Still the little lioness. 6 months after the demonstration, Zara stood on a stage in Chicago. The National STEM Conference for Young Women. 2,000 faces looked back at her, brown and black and tan and beige, every shade of girl who'd been told she didn't belong. She wore a royal blue blazer over her old mustard yellow hoodie. Both parts of her story. "My mother told me algorithms are stories," Zara began. Her voice echoed through the auditorium. And she was right. But she was wrong about something too. She held up the lion keychain for everyone to see. She said I had to learn the language. But it's not just about learning. It's about believing you have the right to speak it. That your voice matters. That you belong in the conversation at all. Faces watched, rapt and hungry. They'll doubt you, not because you're not smart enough, but because you don't look like what they think smart looks like. Her voice grew stronger. They'll test you twice as hard. Make you prove yourself 3 times. Move the goalposts and call it fairness. She paused, gathering herself. But here's what I learned. Your mind is yours. Your brilliance is yours. And no billionaire, no system, no fear can take that away unless you let them. She thought of her mother, of Mr. Okafor, of her grandmother's steady faith, of everyone who'd believed when belief was the hardest thing. The code I solved wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part was believing I deserved to try. That's the real algorithm we all have to crack, the one that tells us we're not enough, not ready, not welcome. The audience was completely silent. You are enough. You are ready. You are welcome. Zara's voice cracked slightly. And when you walk into rooms where nobody looks like you, where nobody expects you to win, remember, you're not there to fit in. You're there to change the story. She held the lion high, so be brave. Be brilliant. Be undeniable. And when they tell you that you can't, prove them wrong with everything you know. The auditorium erupted. Standing ovation. Tears and cheers and hope crystallized into sound. Zara looked out at those faces, future engineers, scientists, coders, dreamers, and saw herself reflected back. The story wasn't over. It was just beginning, and this time they were all writing it together,